The Wild Old West conjures up images of lawlessness, adventure, and larger-than-life characters who captured the imaginations of people around the world. In the saga of Western history, few figures loom as large as the outlaws who roamed the frontier, leaving a trail of violence and infamy in their wake. From bank robbers and gunfighters to renegade warriors, these individuals defied authority and challenged the norms of society, earning reputations as some of the most feared and notorious figures of their time. Their exploits have become the stuff of legend, immortalized in books, movies, and folklore. Yet, behind the myths and legends lie the stories of real men and women who lived on the fringes of society, driven by a desire for freedom, adventure, and sometimes pure greed. Let's delve into the lives and legacies of 10 of the most infamous outlaws of the Wild West. Billy the Kid, born Henry McCarty, but better known as Billy the Kid, was a notorious outlaw of the Wild West whose short but eventful life left a lasting mark on American folklore. Born in New York City, Billy moved westward with his mother in search of a better life, only to find himself embroiled in the violent conflicts of the frontier. It was during the Lincoln County War that Billy gained infamy for his involvement in the Regulators, a group of gunmen fighting against the powerful Santa Fe Ring. Throughout the conflict, Billy's reputation as a gunslinger and outlaw grew, as he was said to have killed at least 8 men, earning him a fearsome reputation on the frontier. Despite his young age, Billy the Kid became one of the most wanted men in the West, with a $500 bounty on his head, although he was eventually caught and met his death at the hands of Sheriff Pat Garrett. Jesse James, along with his brother Frank, formed one of the most notorious outlaw gangs of the Old West, known as the James Younger Gang. Born in Missouri, Jesse James grew up in the turbulent years following the Civil War, where he witnessed firsthand the injustices suffered by his family and neighbors at the hands of Union sympathizers. It was this sense of injustice that fueled Jesse's desire for revenge and led him down the path of crime. Jesse embarked on a career of robbery and violence, targeting banks, trains, and stagecoaches. He became legendary for daring raids and narrow escapes from the law, earning the admiration of some and the fear of others. Despite numerous attempts by law enforcement to capture or kill him, Jesse James remained elusive until his eventual death at the hands of fellow gang member Robert Ford, who betrayed him for the reward money. Butch Cassidy, born Robert Leroy Parker, rose to infamy as the charismatic leader of the Wild Bunch, one of the most notorious outlaw gangs of the Old West. Hailing from Utah, Cassidy's early years were marked by hardship and poverty, driving him to seek fortune through a life of crime. Alongside his partner, the Sundance Kid, Cassidy embarked on a prolific criminal career marked by daring bank and train robberies across the American West. Known for his charm, wit, and strategic prowess, Cassidy became a legendary figure, admired by some and feared by others. Despite several encounters with law enforcement, Cassidy managed to elude capture for many years, earning him a reputation as a master of escape. However, his luck eventually ran out, and he fled to South America in an attempt to evade capture. Cassidy's ultimate fate remains shrouded in mystery, with conflicting reports suggesting he may have perished in a shootout or lived out his days in anonymity. Harry Alonzo Longabaugh, better known as the Sundance Kid, became synonymous with the romanticized image of the outlaw of the Old West. Born in Pennsylvania, Longabaugh's early life was unremarkable until he ventured westward, where he found himself drawn into a life of crime. His path crossed with Butch Cassidy's, and together they formed the notorious previously mentioned Wild Bunch Gang. Throughout his lengthy outlaw career, Sundance quickly gained notoriety for his sharp shooting skills and cool demeanor during heists, earning him the respect of both his fellow outlaws and law enforcement. Despite brushes with the law and numerous close calls, Sundance managed to evade capture for several years thanks to his cunning and resourcefulness. However, the law eventually caught up with him and he met his demise in a shootout in Bolivia in 1908. John Wesley Hardin, known as one of the deadliest gunfighters of the Old West, was responsible for numerous killings during his criminal career. Born in Texas, Hardin grew up in a violent and lawless environment where disputes were often settled with a gun. It was in this environment that Hardin honed his skills as a gunman, quickly gaining a reputation as one of the most feared men in Texas. Hardin's criminal career began in earnest when he killed his first man at the age of 15, setting off a bloody feud that would last for years. Over the course of his life, Hardin was involved in numerous violent altercations and shootouts, earning him a fearsome reputation as a deadly and ruthless outlaw. Despite spending time in prison, Hardin continued to engage in criminal activities until his eventual death at the hands of a lawman in 1895. Bill Longley, known as Wild Bill, was one of the most notorious outlaws of the Old West, whose life was marked by violence and lawlessness. Born in Texas, Longley grew up in the aftermath of the Civil War, where he witnessed firsthand the chaos and lawlessness that plagued the frontier. It was in this environment that he was drawn into a life of crime, becoming involved in cattle rustling, robbery, and murder from a young age. Longley's reputation as a gunslinger and outlaw grew as he became embroiled in a series of violent conflicts, earning him the moniker Wild Bill among lawmen and settlers alike. Despite numerous attempts by law enforcement to capture him, Longley managed to evade capture for several years, using his wits and sharpshooting skills to outmaneuver his pursuers. However, his luck eventually ran out, and he was captured in 1877, convicted of murder, and sentenced to death by hanging. Wild Bill Hickok, known for his skills as a gunfighter, master marksman, and lawman, also had a darker side as an outlaw and gambler. Born in Illinois, Hickok grew up in the years following the Civil War. Hickok's quick temper and willingness to resort to violence earned him a fearsome reputation on the frontier, where he was involved in numerous violent altercations and shootouts. Despite his lawless tendencies, Hickok also served as a lawman in several frontier towns, where he earned a reputation for his courage and determination in enforcing the law. However, it was his outlaw activities and his association with other notorious figures of the Wild West that cemented his place in history as one of the most notorious outlaws of the era. Wild Bill Hickok's devious activities eventually caught up to him in 1876 when he was shot and killed by Jack McCall while playing cards in a saloon. Black Bart. Operating in California during the late 19th century, was a notorious stagecoach robber who gained infamy for his polite demeanor and poetic calling cards left at the scenes of his crimes. Despite his gentlemanly appearance, Black Bart was a dangerous outlaw who struck fear into the hearts of travelers and law enforcement alike. Over the course of his criminal career, Black Bart is believed to have committed over 28 stagecoach robberies, making him one of the most prolific outlaws of his time. Despite numerous attempts by law enforcement to capture him, Black Bart managed to evade capture for several years, thanks in part to his clever disguises and his knowledge of the terrain. However, his luck eventually ran out, and he was arrested in 1883, served 4 years, and then disappeared from the public eye thereafter. Kid Curry. A member of Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch gang, was one of the most dangerous outlaws of the Old West. Known for his violent temper and quick trigger finger, Kid Curry was involved in numerous shootouts and robberies during his criminal career, making him a feared figure on the frontier. Born Harvey Logan in Iowa, Kid Curry grew up in a family of outlaws and learned the ways of the criminal underworld from an early age. After joining up with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Kid Curry quickly rose through the ranks of the Wild Bunch, earning a reputation as one of the most ruthless members of the gang. However, his criminal career was cut short when he was captured by law enforcement in 1903. Despite numerous attempts to escape from custody, Kid Curry was eventually convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, where he died via suicide in 1904. Clay Allison. A notorious gunslinger and outlaw of the Old West, gained infamy for his violent temperament and his involvement in numerous gunfights and range wars. Born in Tennessee, Clay Allison moved westward in search of adventure and quickly found himself drawn into a life of crime. Known for his unpredictable behavior and his willingness to resort to violence at the drop of a hat, Clay Allison became one of the most feared and dangerous figures on the frontier. Over the course of his criminal career, Allison was involved in numerous violent altercations, including shootouts with lawmen and rival gangs. Despite his fearsome reputation, Allison was also known for his sense of honor and his loyalty to his friends, making him a complex and enigmatic figure of the Old West. However, his violent tendencies ultimately led to his downfall as he was killed in a shootout in 1887. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below.